I'm Grant Kidwell from GNM News Channel. Today we'll be answering two questions. First, what was the primary motivation of Japan's ascension to wage war on the Western powers, namely the United States? And second, how was that war fought? Now onto our anchor, Matt.
Thank you for the intro, Grant. Years after the outbreak of the Second Sino-Japanese War, Japan invaded French Indochina in an effort to cut out Japanese supplies. It was an easy target after Germany had just finished their 46-day conquest of the French mainland.
Wow, Matt, that really was an easy target for Germany. But how has Japan tried to win the war against the U.S.?
Well, according to our sources, apparently the Japanese government hoped that the U.S. would be intimidated into loosening its antagonistic stance on Japan.
Wow, bold move, I say. The following year, didn't Japan start to show interest through the Dutch Indies in the response to the Japanese aggression?
Yes, they did, Grant. The U.S. announced an oil embargo and froze Japanese assets being held in the U.S. in July of 1941.
Smart move by the U.S. because the Imperial Japanese Navy predicted that it would be completely out of fuel in just 2 years as a direct result of the embargo.
Wow, 2 years is not too long if you think about it. That's only 730 days.
Matt, do you remember what happened in 1940?
Something about Germany first, right?
Yes, you're on the right track. 1940, the United States had formulated a plan of its own in case the war broke out in the Pacific. It was called Plan Dog. It can be summed up with just 2 words: Germany first. The United States would focus its full attention on defeating Germany and concede the losses of the Philippines, Guam, and Wake Island after Europe had Allied control. The U.S. planned to retake its holdings in the Pacific and strike Japan itself.
Yes. After that, didn't the attack of Pearl Harbor happen?
Yes, that was when Sir Yoki Yamamoto, the Japanese Marshal Admiral of the Navy during the Second World War, was responsible for planning the attack on Pearl Harbor.
I recall that Yamamoto hoped that the attack would accomplish 2 things. 1, damage American morale, and 2, neutralize the U.S. Navy's material advantage.
Yes, that was his goal. Now let's move on to how the war was fought. Although the American fleet was temporarily incapacitated, Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor when no U.S. air carriers were in the port. So America was quickly to recuperate from its losses. Still, the attack did provide Japan with a window of time to occupy Singapore, the Philippines, and the Dutch East Indies without much resistance.
That was when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt approved the creation of the Manhattan Project. The purpose of this was to explore the military uses of the recently discovered phenomenon of nuclear fission.
In the Philippines, meanwhile, the situation was getting no better. Hours after Pearl Harbor attack, half the U.S. Army bombers at Clark Field were destroyed after a Japanese air raid.
The U.S. Army forces began modifying B-29 bombers to make them more compatible with early atomic bombs.
Matt, I'm getting worried that we need to wrap this up.
Okay. The atomic bomb was in its final stages of development and was given its final approval for its use in late July 1945. Exactly 5 months after the first firebomb attack on Tokyo, the world's first atomic bomb was dropped on the port of Hiroshima on August 6th.
Right, I recall that. When the Japanese still refused to surrender, a second bomb was dropped on August 9th on Nagasaki. To make matters worse, the Russians invaded Japan, occupied Murashura that same day on August 14th.
Then a representative acting under the orders of Emperor Hiroshima unconditionally surrendered and the Pacific War was over. Alright, that was the primary motivation of Japan's attack and how the war was fought. This has been Matthew Ferranda
and Grant Kidwell with GNM News. Thank you for joining us, and now on to Tommy with the weather.